Treksploration.
Hello and welcome back to Treksploration. I'm Albie.
And I'm Chris.
This is our first captain's table, and joining us today is our first captain, a founding member of Treksploration, Charles from Texas. How you doing, Charles?
Hey, Chris, Albie. Nice to finally meet you guys.
Captain on the bridge.
Captain
Bosun's
on the
whistle,
bridge.
please.
Yes, right here. There we go.
We need the whistle.
All right.
Should have brought the whistle.
Captain Charles. May we speak freely, Captain?
Yes, permission
All
granted.
right. Cool.
Thank you, sir.
At ease.
Colorful metaphors allowed.
I'm in uniform. I wasn't sure if it was dress uniform tonight or what, so I just picked Tapestry Album.
I'm off duty.
Okay, off
I'm
duty.
off duty,
You can
so
wear
I'm
what
good.
you want.
Yeah.
Chris, are you on duty? Off duty? What's going on?
I'm on different fandom tonight.
Oh, okay.
I put on my Get Leaping shirt.
Get
See,
leaping.
I was
That's my
I
Get
already started the ale.
Romulan ale.
Nice.
Love it.
Is that just raspberry Kool-Aid?
Had a date with a monster right now.
Ignore the orange top. You know, Romulans are known to
Well, you know, it's late 21st century. No, 20th century. It's a good year anyway.
I mean, those orange tops are strictly for medicinal purposes anyway, as we all know.
That's right.
So, yes.
Yes. It's important. You need it. All right. You are our first captain. This is our first captain's table. So basically what this is we want to find out from our crew, and specifically our captains and above, what they thought of the season we just finished. And in this case, we're talking about the final season of Discovery. So actually the whole series overall. And just before we do that, and I hear you might have a Trek and tell, but don't tell me. Before we do that, me and Chris want to know more about Captain Charles from Texas. So, Charles, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into Star Trek.
Okay. Definitely from Texas. I live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Married. It'll be 30 years coming up in a couple of weeks.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Join the club.
I'm sorry.
Congratulations. It's been a great run.
Awesome.
Luckily, I married a Trekkie.
Awesome.
That makes one of us.
We watched All Good Things together about a month before we got married. So we got to finish out the Next Gen series that way. Got a couple kids out after high school. I'm in IT again for about 30 years. Most of that time's been in app dev, but of late I've been heading up a enterprise data analytics team. So that's been an interesting way to get a new job without changing jobs. I've been with the company I've been with for over a decade, and I'm really happy there. How I got into Trek, I think, as I said on the site, my first Trek was Star Trek II. My parents took me, when I was less than 10 years old, and then we saw Star Trek 3. And what's interesting is I don't remember them watching the series in syndication. I first started picking that up when the Fox network became brand new. They they ran it on the weekends, and so I started recording them on VHS. I think I got to like 58 episodes on VHS, and then
Nice.
and then Next Gen came out. What's funny is when Next Gen first came out, I thought the ship looked a little silly. I wasn't digging the
Charles, it still does. It still
know.
does.
Come on. I'm all about the D. I love the D.
Now I love it. The curves, everything. It's And
Curves.
and then DS9 after that. That was the first one my wife and I were able to start on. Voyager on UPN, on nascent, I guess that's the second attempt for the United Paramount Network, right? Mm-hmm. Technically. And then Enterprise after that, and then Silence. We had the movies, obviously. We've seen all of those in the theater. Discovery holds a special place. We'll get into some of that a little bit later. This is the first one we're able to kick off with our kids. We started with my oldest. My youngest wasn't as interested. And then here comes the pandemic, lockdowns, and she and I started watching. I was working from home full time. She was schooling at home. We started watching during lunches, and she's all caught up now. We've seen everything, all of it together, ever since. So I think I've caught every single episode. What's interesting is I had never seen and I may have to forfeit my Trekkie card here. I've never seen the Crusher Ghost. I had never seen the Crusher Ghost episode until like 2 years ago in its entirety.
Sub Rosa?
Yeah, Sub Rosa. Thank you.
So that's the only one you haven't seen in its entirety?
That's the only one I hadn't seen in its entirety. I saw
it
a couple of years ago, and it's that one's interesting. as a creepy ghost story, it works. There's definitely some interesting elements there. But anyway, so yeah, that's where my
That's very cool.
Well,
It's
if
an
that
infinite
if that's
journey was.
if that's the only thing keeping you from getting your Star Trek card, listen, I haven't seen most of Voyager, so I don't even deserve a Star Trek card compared to you. So that's why you're a captain, and I'm just a lowly potato peeler below deck somewhere.
Right. We welcome everyone, whether they've seen just a few episodes, they only like one series, or they've seen and love it all. All levels of fandom are welcome here on Treksploration. That's what we're doing.
That's awesome. So my ego demands this because I'm Chris and I love me and I love to talk about me. How did you find Treksploration and more specifically, I guess, broader relationship with Albert Burge, the mind, the creator of all of this stuff?
Yeah. So going backwards, saw you guys posted your first Treksploration on the QLP channel. Found you guys to 2022, like Chris and I were talking about earlier. Yeah, I loved Quantum Leap as a kid. I guess I was a kid, I was a teenager. So my wife and I watched it all the time on Sci-Fi reruns, and then I saw a little bit of activity flare up when Sci-Fi was considering a relaunch, Bold Leap Forward, and then nothing. But about every 6 to 12 months, I'd Google Quantum Leap, try to see if there was anything coming out. Nothing. And then I happened to YouTube in 2022, found the interview with Deborah Pratt, called my wife and you wouldn't believe what's coming back, and found all the pictures from the Canadian shoot, and then started following you guys. Really enjoyed watching those on my lunches the day after, leading up to the show, watching you guys and Matt and Allison, and so then here we are. But I got to say, I really appreciate you guys. I mean, you guys are a rare example out there. Yeah, there's folks that I feel that monetize sort of angst about some of the stuff out there. I feel like you guys are always very fair, but also very respectful of material, regardless of whether you enjoyed it or not.
Maybe we shouldn't talk about Discovery, huh?
But you know what? You say that though, but I still pick up there's a level of respect there, regardless. And there's too many out there that I feel that monetize off of clicks and views, that they just generate that hatred of stuff. Whether it's new Trek or that other space franchise. I don't know if I'm allowed to mention here. Well, I guess we're talking about QLP, but
you're the captain.
Anyway,
it's up to you.
So, but anyway, that's how I discovered you guys.
I think it's phenomenal because we've been doing the QLP for so long. For us, a watershed moment was the announcement of QL 2022, and it's phenomenal to me that enabled us to find an entirely new fandom. You hadn't listened to QLP before the new show came out. It was the whole thing we did with Deborah. And for us, that's like, oh, this is like the fourth time we're speaking to Deborah. We hope somebody is still listening. And that was the way you found us. So it's always so surreal to me how you can build an audience even as late in the game as we were when we were doing the QLP, and the fact that you followed us here to Treksploration, not only that, but are supporting us. Thank you so much. It means a lot to us because, when you're talking on mic, I love to do it. I would talk to the wall if I could, but I mean, to put it out there, yeah, he has seen it. To put it out there and to have people appreciate it, it just brings it to a completely higher level. And
Absolutely.
it's support like yours that helps us feel good about ourselves. So thank you.
Very, very glad to do it. I've been enjoying it. So looking forward to this.
So what's it like to be a captain for Treksploration? What's it like to be a captain?
Apparently it's right now it's a prestigious and lonely position. I'm hoping that new ships join the fleet anytime now. But yeah, I know that you guys had announced this, I guess, as a perk at the very beginning. So I've been looking forward to this conversation. I definitely have thoughts on the season and the series at large. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you guys.
Awesome. And hopefully any new captains we get, you can help them along, show them the ropes, give them a tour of the ship.
Absolutely.
Let them know what's up. Okay.
Yeah, please. Yeah. And if you'll permit, we'll serve drinks in the back somewhere. We'll be like Quark.
Yeah.
There you go.
Anything you need, Captain, we're there.
So
somebody get a Ractigino jug, and we'll be yeah.
Sounds good. If I might ask, since we're all about Trek here on Treksploration, you mentioned that you had seen Wrath of Khan and that was your first exposure, and then you went back on, you're watching Married with Children and Star Trek apparently on Fox because that was the only thing on.
And Werewolf the series, that was the other thing. Do you remember that one?
I think that Allison, that would be an Allison thing. Yeah, anything with a werewolf in it. That's like the complete Allison
thing. Series on Werewolf the series, and I think the Freddy Krueger series was on there too.
Probably. Yeah. But I just want to know, since you came to it so late, and then you were a fan throughout, you watched everything through the end of what we call the golden era. What do you consider your Trek?
Oh boy.
Like where do you live in your heart?
So at Next Gen, DS9 is very close though. But I think it's probably Next Gen, just because I think that, it was the first one I'd watched from the onset through the end. My parents are into it, so I watched with them. I've watched most of the reruns. I can't countless times, but probably Next Gen is where I live. But DS9's really, really close. It was interesting at first. We started watching DS9 and we stopped because some of the first seasons not at the caliber of what I consider to be quality of the rest of it. But man, when the Jem'Hadar show up in the finale of season 2, we were hooked and we never stopped. It's interesting, so Next Gen is probably where I'm most at home.
I always find it interesting to ask that, especially as you approach new Trek, where you feel you're grounded. I don't know if that affects the way that you look at the new stuff. I feel like it does, to some degree though. So I always like to just get that basis.
So. That's interesting, right? Because, I found it's funny because I've actually learned a lot about myself through watching you guys in terms of how you analyze and break down the episode, starting with QLP and then this. Is I found that a lot of I've got some friends that absolutely can't stand some of the new stuff, Trek, and then I've got some that absolutely refuse any of the post Lucas, post Disney purchase Star Wars, and I can't understand it because I've enjoyed most of it, but then I found that where I decide whether I like something is, did I have fun watching it? Did it invoke an emotional response? Then later I go back and think critically. I'm like, wow, there are some plot holes there, some missed opportunities. But for the most, and I wouldn't say that I'm easily entertained or what have you. It's more just that, that's kind of the baseline for me is if I got an emotional response out of it, then then it's a win for me. Later, I can be more critical. I mean, you mentioned Voyager, love Voyager, but man, what a parade of missed opportunities that show was. It could have been so much more. I think that while Next Gen's my home, I also love the original series. I think that as the new stuff goes, Disco will always have a special place in my heart because without Disco, we would not have Picard. We would not have Strange New Worlds. I love those things. I know Chris's favorite character, Mariner, on Lower Decks wouldn't exist without Disco. Anyway.
I love Mariner.
I think, have you been listening to that Star Trek podcast and me reaming Mariner on that show? Yeah. Because we haven't spoken about Lower Decks much on Treksploration.
I just
not yet anyway.
One comment. I was like, oh, Mariner's an acquired taste, I think. But but anyway, yeah. Long story, long answer.
Yeah.
We'll get there, I'm sure.
We love long answers here.
I like that you mentioned missed opportunities. I think when I do have something critical or harsh to say about Disco, it's usually about my disappointment in the missed opportunities. Yeah. What could have been if there was someone there that kind of had the whole Star Trek in their head and could just get it to that final step over that little bit. So speaking of that, let's just talk about Discovery. Let's talk about Disco. I'm glad that you enjoy it as much as you do. Tell me what you thought of the final season in general, being someone who watched it from the beginning.
So, final season, we saw hints of what I think we were promised, that we would see a little bit less of the galaxy, pending doom to the galaxy arc, and then I think it turned out that wasn't true. I saw little hints of, hey, this might be a different season. And forgive me, I'm really terrible about the newer episode titles, because they don't, it's not like Next Gen where you get the episode title at the beginning. You don't get that anymore, right?
Yes.
But the episode with the marathon, the Prime Directive type episode, that was one of my favorites, I think, of the series.
Whistle Speak?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's it. The reason why I say that is it was a simple story. I love Prime Directive. We got to bust the Prime Directive to do something stories. But as far as the final season, I think it started well. I like the new Cylon first officers. Name I can't remember. Anyway,
Frylock, something like that. Praylock.
What's his name? Callum Keith Rennie? Is that his?
Oh, that guy. Okay,
he's Rayner.
Yeah.
Rayner. They're talking about.
Yeah. Anyway, we just saw him on. I'm going to swing in another IP, Man in the High Castle. I'm finally finishing that series, and boy, there's a lot of Cylons on that show.
How is it? How is it? I watched the first season. And I was like, this is intriguing, but I never went back for season 2.
Yeah. We really enjoy it. Definitely worth a look. But
Chris and I love alternate history.
Oh yeah.
Surprise! I've only ever read the book, so
I think what I was sorry that it didn't go out with a bigger bang. I felt really let down by the final episode. On a bunch of different counts. One, I know that they didn't know that was going to be their finale, and they got what I think 2 days of shooting after they got the announcement. Is it okay to go into the
spoiler away?
That's why we're here.
Yep.
We got a wrap up for Michael and Book, and maybe Zora, is that the AI's name?
Yeah. With Calypso,
but nobody else. Where was my wrap up of Culber, Stamets, Reno, Reese? I mean, what was awesome the last couple episodes, Reese finally showed up, and I bet I was tweeting him, I'm sorry, Xing, whatever, how awesome it was to see him. But man, why didn't we get him out there up front much earlier? I think that you guys have even mentioned, and I definitely agree that while I love Sonequa, I love her on Walking Dead, and I love her in this role, they definitely wasted some opportunities to explore. This could have been more of an ensemble, and it wasn't, and that definitely showed in the end. We didn't get anything, in my opinion, as a sort of a wrap up for the other cast members. Even our antagonists, I felt they were let down by the end too. Maul was, what they had a fist fight or two, decided to trust each other, didn't trust each other, and then we find out. And hopefully, you guys are doing spoiler alert at the beginning of this thing. Anyway, that we find out we can't bring Locke back, and she's like, "Oh, okay." And that's really what it felt like.
Yeah.
And so anyway, and I hate saying that because again, I feel bad because I have such a overall. I'll always love Discovery because it brought Trek back. Whatever its flaws are, if it hadn't launched basically CBS All Access and then Paramount Plus, I don't think we would have all this other stuff. So, but I think I really think they missed some opportunities to get a little bit more episodic and focus a little bit more on the ensemble. That strong ensemble they have, they just didn't use.
Yeah, I don't even know if you can call it an ensemble. They were just background extras for most of the series. And I've said this before. Name me another Star Trek series where 5 seasons in, you can't name the bridge crew. You just can't. You don't know who they are. You really don't. So again, missed opportunity, right?
Yeah. I definitely couldn't name them until you brought up that question. Then I was like, I got to learn this now.
Right.
So then
it takes a concerted effort, you know?
Yeah, definitely a lot of loose ends not tied up with that finale. Of course, it has to do with them being canceled and only given the little bit of reshoots. At least they were given that. But I think one glaring example that I might mention is Stamets. Like all season, they're gearing him up to be maybe the big bad, the villain in the next season. And they had it because he's just been wanting to do something bigger than he has done. He wanted to be remembered, and he's starting to build up this, like, maybe this arc of this attitude. And then it had to be like just quashed in the end. And he was like, you can't do that. And then the next scene, he's like, oh, okay, great. And like, that was his wrap up. Oh, okay, great. And it's just weird, like things that could have been. So I almost wanted, while I was watching this finale, I wanted another season, but I was like, no, they would just squander it like they did this season. So I don't know.
That's interesting, right? Is that, I know that the Academy series is set in the same time period. I'm unrealistically hopeful that maybe we get some send-offs for these people in that series. We'll see. I did think that the Holly Hunter announcement was cool. How they swung that is unbelievable. But anyway, man, and Stamets and Culber were some of my favorite characters, the two of my favorites, and they, what happened to them?
Yeah, maybe we will get some nods in the Academy series. I mean, they did mention Tilly specifically. Michael does when she's talking to Zora about how she's the longest tenured professor at the Academy at this point. So obviously we know that throughout the entire Starfleet Academy series, no matter what you see happen, Tilly's not going to die. So, we kind of know that. We kind of know that
exactly
anyway.
The same thing. If Michael's a guest star, you can't put her in perils. It's useless, right?
Yeah, right. They can't be in peril.
It is Star Trek. She could, die, transfer her Katra to somebody, and then bring her back.
Got that infinity. That infinity.
There you go.
Yeah, I thought that was wedding rings for the first couple times I watched the finale. Then I realized it was the infinity thing.
Got to talk about.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah,
I can't wait to talk about it. What are we talking about?
We're talking about the Temporal Cold War tie-in. Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Wow. That got me.
So, it was interesting. It felt tacked on to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I liked the fact that, and I can't remember if it was here where you guys mentioned it or I saw it in another, where the hope was that we would never find out about his origin, that he would just be this mysterious dude out there. I kept hoping that, one of the things I always hoped on Discovery, and this is a Voyager potentially deep cut, but the Living Witness episode, where the Doctor's backup module was brought back online. Mm-hmm. Chaos ensues. He saves the day. And at the very end, it's like a holodeck within a holodeck. And they make mention that he had been their chief surgeon for some period of time and then left to go find home. I kept hoping this shuttle would show up. And here's Robert Picardo that steps out. The EMH is here.
Getting chills.
What a missed opportunity. But
right?
I kept hoping he was going to be something like that. But
that's something that Albie and I were talking about. It was last year's Trek Day, right? First Contact Day. And they played a whole bunch of stuff on Paramount for whatever reason. They played a select amount of episodes, and it was right before they premiered the 32nd Century Voyager stuff. And we just before Treksploration, but we were asking, like, why would they play Living Witness? And Albie, you had the perfect answer. You're like, it's an extended previously on, so that when they get to the 32nd century, they're priming it for Picardo to be there somehow.
I was hoping. I was hopeful. But he's coming back. Prodigy season 2, July 1st.
Oh yeah,
on Netflix. We're getting Robert Picardo.
Very much it's very much a Voyager sequel from what I've read.
I think that's my favorite part of it. Season 1, Rennie's into it. Serenity, my daughter, she loves it just because I think it's aimed at her age group, that little like tween audience. So she's loving everything about it. And she loves Voyager. So she loves when the Voyager gets tied in. And I just love anything Voyager, but I'll watch any Star Trek, me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
Excited for that.
Yeah.
I don't know how we're going to handle those. If they drop them all 10 or 20 at once, there's 20 of them.
I heard they're dropping them all. And so yeah, you'll be able to binge Star Trek for the first time. A new premiere.
Crazy.
Anyway.
So
yeah, I feel no obligation to watch it at light speed.
Oh,
especially if there are 20 episodes. I mean, forget about it.
Yeah, luckily they're short.
Do it at their own pace.
We're not super bingers. We the only thing we did binge was Breaking Bad, and that one that you can't do more than 4 episodes, and you feel like you gotta take a break or take a shower or something because it's it's like you're looking around like the Fed's coming. But anyway, but yeah, Kovic felt tacked on. Interesting. Had cute little things behind him on the shelf. Mm-hmm. But I think I would have almost rather, instead of that reveal, just leave him mysterious. Maybe give us some hints where it could be 3 different things.
I thought he was going to be a Q, a Trelane, something, but Daniels. I still got the chills when Daniels, because I was like, oh, they mentioned Enterprise. I love Enterprise.
So they did that whenever on in the 4th season premiere, the whole the Archer repair station or whatever, and they played a bit of the theme. That definitely gave me chills. And then seeing the displays of the Xindi Federation members on the voting screen or whatever, it was kind of cool. But anyway,
very cool.
Very cool. No, for sure. And I feel like Disco made its part of its mission this season was to have callbacks in every episode, a la Lower Decks, but not for laughs, but just because they wanted to establish themselves as part of the broader universe. The second they removed themselves from the universe as we know it to forge their own path, they got all nostalgic, which was kind of weird. I guess my question to you, since this was the Trek, like you said, that kind of brought your family in, and it had all of the stuff that paved the way for a lot of the other stuff that we love, like Brave New Worlds and Strange New Worlds, rather. Brave New World. Hey,
there's a crossover.
What about Disco as a whole did you like best, and what did you dislike most?
Oh, wow. Gosh, that's a rough one. What did I like best? It's Star Trek.
Yeah,
in some form. I think there's we really like Saru. I especially like his season 1 and 2 arc. The Pike season with the whole, you think he's going to die, and then he just finishes his maturation, becomes an aggressive species instead of timid. I like Saru. Like I said, Culber and Stamets, they had me at the beginning. I really enjoyed them. I love seeing Culber doctor, and he got a number of opportunities this time. Sometimes I felt like I think he spent too much time as a counselor in the previous season. But it's just cool to see him do his thing. I love the ship. I love the concept of the jump drive. I know that's probably a controversial thing with a lot of Trekkie fans out there. I think it's more emotion based as far as what I liked about it. I enjoyed it, especially being able to watch it with my kids, and they enjoyed it too. What did I dislike the most? I think it's the super adherence to the story arc. I felt that was overdone. I think shows, if you look at the other Trek series pre Discovery, each of them got their, they had 22 to 26 episode seasons. One could argue that in the later seasons it's probably too much. I think that most TV shows that get to that point ought to start trimming. You get a lot of fat in there, but in the early to yes, Masaka has awakened or whatever. Anyway,
I still want one of those masks.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I would kill for one. But anyway, Discovery was never given the opportunity to have that one-off classic episode, which I feel that Strange New Worlds does a lot better, right? You've got you had, season 1, you had the recurring arc with Pike and him coming to terms with his fate. I hope I'm not spoiling anything for Chris here. And then in season 2, while they had the Gorn arc and some of the other things, I mean, the fact that they can do a one-off and it's its own unit, there's just something special about that. Like Living Witness is one on Voyager. That is one of my favorite Trek episodes of all time. The Visitor from DS9, man.
Yeah.
Fathers and Sons, or Kids and Fathers, huge episode. Yeah. Discovery never had. I don't think there's one episode I can think of that I want to run and go see again as a kind of its own unit. There's a couple that I really like. I love the first season, right before they jump to the mirror universe, and it's more just technical cool, where the ship is jumping around the Klingon ship over and over. It's like, okay, that's how you use a jump drive, where it was jumping around trying to get the measurements or whatever. But I think that their story arcs hurt them, and I don't know. So that's the long-winded answer. I think overall, I'm glad it exists. I'm glad it existed because it kicked off so much more. Yeah, and the actors, I can't fault them at all. I think that they did the best of their material, and the performances are excellent. I can't beat Jet Reno.
She's awesome. Yeah. I think that's what I feel mostly bad about when I do criticize Discovery, is because so many people do such great work on the show. It's just the overall stories and direction the show, I was going to say is going, but it already went. It just, what might have been. So, So I want to definitely be sure when I do this, because during our recording for the Double Disco series finale, which Christopher and I haven't recorded yet, we're going to be doing that soon. I definitely want to be brutally honest about how I feel about the ending and the whole series overall, but I definitely don't want people to think that I don't appreciate their hard work.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean,
that's a tightrope we had to learn to walk with the new QL, because it was the first time we were talking about a show, Quantum Leap anyway, that was currently on the air. I had done other podcasts with shows that were on the air. Yeah, but the thing is, like the other ones that I did, like 11/22/63, it was me and Skip, and we were going to do Castle Rock, but we felt no compunctions about shitting all over 11/22/63 because we had invested so much in the book.
First colorful metaphor, I think.
Yeah, there we go.
Double dumbass on you.
And honestly, we got it was funny to us because we got the advanced screeners for 11/22, but we still felt no hesitation in saying how terrible we thought the adaptation was. It became a little bit more difficult to walk that line with Quantum Leap because everybody in that cast and crew was so, present and giving and contacting us. And so it not only do you not want to take away from everybody that's doing their best to put on a show, but you have to learn that, sometimes you don't pull punches, but there's always a way to frame things in a respectful manner that enhances a conversation, not just shuts it down. And that's what we always try to do. Even if we don't like something, we try to contribute to a broader context. So I think that's what I hope people recognize. Like you were saying, it's not just clickbait and dissing. Discoing.
That can be difficult. Luckily, it wasn't for me because I loved Quantum Leap. But when you're texting on a daily basis, showrunners and producers and writers, and the writer of the finale says, I can't wait till you watch this. This is so cool. You'll love this and that. How could you criticize all their hard work and their love for it? But luckily, I felt I loved the whole thing. So. I was good.
Yeah, and I think every show is sort of a collection of all the individual efforts. I feel are good. Writers do their best with the direction they're given. Showrunners do their best with all the pieces they put in place. We know that showrunners and writers and directors, they do not go uninfluenced by entities outside the creative process. I think that, and I don't know if that happened here. I know that happens in other productions where folks that aren't necessarily in the creative process lean in and say, no, this is how things should go. But yeah, the individual actors, the showrunners, I don't disparage anybody individually. And like I said, overall, I'm so glad Discovery exists versus it not.
Awesome.
Yeah. I would echo that statement and just say overall as a series, I think what happened with me was I loved so many things about the show, but after it was over, like each episode, I didn't have that feeling like I was like psyched and jazzed and like I want to just watch it right again. And I always was disappointed by loving so much of it, but not getting that high from it. Maybe. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's like here's an example. DS9's finale. I remember I kept that thing on. I guess it was a TiVo at the time.
Yeah, I had 4 TiVos.
I kept that thing forever. More recent series, Better Call Saul. Man, I watched the last courtroom scene of that thing probably 15 times. There's stuff that just sticks with you. There's little moments in Discovery that are kind of like I don't mind seeing little snippets on YouTube. I like Burnham's when Burnham and Georgiou and Mira Lorca are fighting on the Charon, and she finally gets the best of him in that whole speech where she says, "We would have helped you get home if you had asked." That's who Starfleet is. That's who I am. That gives me chills right now. That's some good stuff. So there's diamonds in the rough over there. Everybody's. I think every member of the cast, every writer, they had a moment like that. So. Yeah.
I think there was people who got it and it slipped through here and there. There are great moments.
Albie, you're the greatest.
All right. Well, that's basically the end of disco and disco in general and how we feel. And I appreciate that, Charles. Now, we talked a little bit earlier that you might have a Trek and Tell. I see a couple things behind you, a couple Funkos even I don't have, and some amazing artwork. What's going on with that?
Yeah, so the first one, this is Burnham and Saru. Got some.
Nice.
I felt that would be appropriate here, and then this right here. Can you see it clearly?
Yes.
Yeah.
That is a birthday present that my wife got me last year.
Wow.
Not sure where she found it, but she had asked me out of the blue about a couple months before, "What's your favorite division? Is it science or command or operations?" I'm like, I guess science, and so this is.
I might be cosplaying you.
And so it's very. Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah. Anyway, it's almost lower decks-ish artwork on the Enterprise D bridge, but yeah, it is fantastic.
That's very
One of
nice.
my favorite birthday presents.
Wow. Captain Charles'
so
good wife.
Yeah. So for everyone listening on the exclusive Patreon podcast feed, this looks like an animation cell from a Lower Deck style animation with Charles in the Science's blue uniform on the bridge of the D. It's really
all about the
really
D.
freaking cool, man.
Very cool.
Then the other thing I have is it's got a little bit of a story to it. So I've got my Enterprise cap here. So a few years ago, where were we flying? We were going to Tennessee, see my some of my family got family that moved out to Tennessee, and we we're going to see them for Thanksgiving. Anyway, I decided I want to be really comfortable on the plane, so I bought some comfortable pants, comfortable shirt, comfortable jacket. Didn't realize till later that my ensemble, I mean, the color of the pants matched the jacket. My ensemble probably was more appropriate for somebody maybe a few decades older than I am. And anyway, I'm wearing this shirt, checking in my luggage, and a lady passes me and thanks me for my service. And before I can correct her, she's through the doors and gone. So there's a lady out there somewhere that thinks that I served on the USS Enterprise.
Or she's just a huge Trekkie and was living it. That's
maybe,
awesome.
But she was very much in a rush, very serious. I mean, she was very glad that I had served.
That's funny. Yeah, that's funny stuff.
That's awesome.
At least you got a reaction. I wear my NXO-1 cap as much as I can, and still no one has name dropped Enterprise.
Oh, no. Oh man!
One day I will.
Gotta love Enterprise. Gotta love Enterprise. Especially, I mean, freaking Scott Bakula on Star Trek. I still can't get over that today.
Speaking of, we got to figure out what we're wearing when we meet Scott Bakula next, Chris. I was thinking full Enterprise dress uniform. You were like, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll just wear a shirt and pants.
Shirt? Should we get Enterprise shirts? Should we get Treksploration shirts? I don't know. What should we do?
Maybe a Treksploration shirt. I might do that. Yeah. Okay.
I am curious about. I don't know if you've ever had a chance to talk to him, or what are his thoughts of post Enterprise? How was? What does he?
Yeah,
how does he look back at the experience?
We've spoken to him regarding Quantum, the new Quantum, but he is never. I don't think we've ever asked them though, Albie. I don't know if anyone has.
No, when I spoke to him
on New Trek.
When I spoke to him over the phone for that phone interview, we talked just about Enterprise. We never went past Enterprise.
Yeah, that's what. Let me rephrase. What are his thoughts about Enterprise today?
He enjoyed the experience. He wished it had gone longer because he was planning to direct, but that didn't happen. So, and he was disappointed in the finale, and
he's
very
been
few things
on
upset him, and that was one of them.
Very, very, very spot on. I love Jonathan Frakes, Marina Sturdy's, but it was a bad call in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that would have been a good like second to last episode without the fast forward and what happens for the rest of their story arcs, but then gave Enterprise the original their own ending.
Why try to set it during Next Gen? Why not? Why isn't it? Why couldn't they have said, "Hey, let's give them a little snippet of the Titan," and they're on the Titan?
Because Charles, it's a love letter to the fans. Charles, get on board, Captain Charles.
I'm sorry. Yes, that episode was right after the RoboCop trilogy, right? Wasn't that?
Lots of Peter Weller.
Yeah. Anyway.
So I can't wait to, now that I gotta be just clear here. Albie and I had discussed Disco a lot. I'm happy that we're post Disco now because we can start talking about shows that we actually genuinely love instead of are just getting through. I'll just leave that there. But we've not been any strangers to saying what we like and what we don't like about Disco. So it'll be fun to go back to the classic or the golden era. I guess we have the golden age, which is TOS, and the silver age, if you're going to put it in comic book terms, right? Mm-hmm. So what are we in? I guess we're in the bronze age now.
I don't know what they're officially categorized at, but that's what I think of them as. So
those old scientist phase. And
right.
So that's what we're still working on. What shows we're going to cover because we want to cover it all. And then these damn new episodes keep coming out, so it keeps.
You've got Strange New, and I don't know when Strange New Worlds is coming back. My feeling is I bet it's January.
I think they said 2025.
2025. Okay, so we got a good 6 months. To get
you guys plan on covering that while it's out?
I think so because I'm a huge fan. I mark out for Strange New Worlds big time. So
and I feel like we have to draw a line though because again I can't see doing Prodigy, but maybe we will.
Not right away. But the one thing about Enterprise is it's only 4 seasons, is it?
Yeah.
So we'll run out of Enterprise before we run out of the other shows that are 7 seasons. So that'll give us time to do the other things.
Yeah, can't wait to see you guys do that.
Yeah. We're still figuring it out.
Dear Doctor is one of my favorite.
Still a work in progress.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see you guys.
We're still trying to figure it out. I think we decided we would decide like on the fly.
Yep, that's what we're going to do.
What are your thoughts, Charles? And I'll get your thoughts, Chris, and then I'll have thoughts.
Okay.
What are you most looking forward to, Charles, for like us covering episodes?
Wow, tough one because like Chris said, you guys are I like that you guys are looking forward to covering one that you have overall great feelings about with the occasional fistful of datas and masks and all that. but man, that's a tough one. I'm enjoying your Next Gen series. Going to take you a while to get through there.
Yeah.
I would, but Enterprise, I don't know how much coverage it's gotten. I mean, I know you've had the shuttle pod podcast. I never watched much of it.
Shuttle pod show. Pretty good. They got great interviews. It's worth a watch. They're doing something else now.
Decon. It's called Decon. You're talking about Dominic and Connor's show?
Yes.
They're premiering it on Gates McFadden's Investigates. I think
Really?
her
Oh, okay.
season opener for Investigates is also going to be the launch of the Decon Chamber, which
Okay,
is Dominic Keating and Connor Trenier. They've
Nice.
rebranded Shuttlepod as Decon.
They had
Hey,
some
here's
kind
just
of problem
spitballing.
with the producer or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it seemed not
Hollywood
not
problems.
friendly. Yeah.
Yes.
But as far as answering your question, maybe do first season next gen and then pop in and do one of the films. You're talking about Prodigy. Maybe you don't have to cover the entirety of Prodigy. Maybe you do a special Prodigy episode. Maybe you invite some guests of the younger demographic to come and give their.
If only I
opinions
knew
on
them.
it.
Wait till
yeah,
you hear
I
my
think,
crazy idea, but that's for later. Okay. So
Yeah,
things
and
like that.
Yeah,
Chris.
I like doing keeping next gen as the basis for all of it, and then keeping the other stuff as bonus content. And quite frankly, we could get like a twister spinny thing that just points to a show, and then we could pick a random episode of any of the other shows. There's so much to talk about with just next gen alone. That's going to keep us busy for years. And then if we do the other stuff as bonus content, it's just going to be nice. I feel if we hopscotch around
Yes.
a little bit. Which would be cool.
And maybe there's an episode of Next Gen that fits nicely with a Voyager or DS9 episode, and you can do kind of a spin-off of or discussion on that. I don't know if you want to break the sequence or not, but
These are the Pegasus Voyages.
Yeah,
Right.
like time travel month. We're going to cover
The cute box set.
episodes of the Prime Directive episodes. Anyway,
So for the most part, I want to keep linear for each series so people can follow along with us if they're doing it for the first time. Because that's a big chunk of audience. Star Trek's always grabbing new people. Hopefully, still. And I had an idea. What do we got? We got original series, and we're already doing next gen.
And TAS, we have Toss and TAS.
Yeah. Toss and Tass, the animated series. We got Voyager, we got Deep Space Nine, and we got Enterprise. So what is that,
Right.
6?
And we have Picard. And we
Picard.
have Lower Decks.
Well, see, I'm considering Picard
we have
as
Strange New
seasons of
Worlds.
Next Gen. So when we get after the movies of Next Gen, do Picard. Because
You're
that's
gonna make me watch seasons 1 and 2 of Picard, are you?
what about the movies? Are you going to do the movies?
we'll
in
do the
between?
movies in order in there. Yeah.
Oh,
I just ordered,
we're gonna do the hell out of Generations, my friend.
Yeah. I ordered Insurrection and Nemesis audiobooks last night. I don't know.
I'm sorry.
Retail therapy
Oh, wow.
is getting crazy, but I need more Trek and Tell, so not really.
There's some crazy lore about
Albie, you don't need
Insurrection
more
and
Trek and
Nemesis.
Tells.
What were you saying, Charles? Captain Charles? Sorry.
There's some crazy lore out there about Nemesis and Insurrection, about how it was originally one movie and they split it into two and totally different ideas either way.
I just saw a thumbnail on
that stuff,
YouTube
yeah.
about that. I haven't watched
Yeah.
it yet, though, so I'm
I did
excited to
too.
watch that one. So here's my idea. Since we have more series than because we do, I think, 8 episodes a month. That's our goal. Life happens. Chris
Wow.
travels. I travel. Things come up. He's got a real job, and I have a child, so things come up. I'm thinking, and this is crazy because I've heard there are other Star Trek podcasts, but I don't think any of them have ever done this, because a lot of Star Trek podcasts, what happens is people will listen to the Next Gen, and then when they get to Deep Space Nine, they'll drop off, or when they get to whatever series they don't like, they'll drop off. My thought is, since our goal is to cover all Star Trek episodes eventually, and at least until one of us dies and then is replaced by somebody else, and then that other person dies and is replaced by someone else, kind of like Kiss, and you just keep going, or is it, I don't know, the ink spots? I'm not sure. Anyway, so my thought is,
The Ship of Theseus at that time, is it still the Treksploration
Exactly.
podcast?
is it still Treksploration? We won't know. We'll be dead. But, you guys can decide. We'll put that up as a poll after we're both dead. But anyway, so my thought is, I know one of your favorite episodes, Chris, if I'm not mistaken, is The Cage, right?
Susan Oliver, Painted Green.
Yes.
Are you kidding?
Yes. I've spent many nights with that VHS tape when I was a kid. Just saying. So I'm thinking, this is what I'm thinking. We love all Star Trek, and we're talking about all Star Trek. So we're of course, we're going to stick with our Next Gen. We're going to do our Next Gen once a week, or thereabouts, until it's done. Then go to the Next Gen movies, and then go to the Picard. But I think when it comes to the original series, the animated series, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise, that's what I'm counting on as the main Trek in our brains for our generation anyway. We just go episode 1, episode 1, episode 1, episode 1, episode 1, episode 2, episode 2, episode 2, episode 2. So it won't be regular. It'll be more like shifting by a week each time or so.
Yeah,
but we'll get through them all.
I like that.
So it's a concurrent rewatch of all of Trek series.
Wow, you used that very well. Concurrent.
I did.
Like
Yay!
Yeah, you did it, Albie.
I wasn't sure. I didn't look it up. I figured
That'd be rough.
You know what? You're gonna have to bleep me here, but I love the way you always play yourself off as clueless. You were always the smartest motherfucker in the room.
I don't see it, but I appreciate your confidence.
Of course you don't, you liar. Anyway.
The Pike's Peak gives it away. I think it's yeah.
I'm working on it. Yeah, I'll get there. There we go.
Awesome.
All right. So what are your thoughts on that, Chris?
I think that's great. Yeah. I mean, I was doing a chronological rewatch up until you waylaid me to do this. So anything that I can do, because I was working my way through Next Gen and really missing watching DS9, really missing maybe getting into Voyager, I was doing it in a way that it was preventing me from enjoying the stuff I love because I was trying to get through it in a certain way. Mm-hmm. I think this is just what I need to sort of reinvigorate once again my fandom. That happens every few years. You have to sort of invest in your fandom the way you invest in a relationship, any good relationship. You have to find ways to keep it fresh, to keep it new, to keep it going. And I feel like that's a good way for us to approach it. So
okay,
I like it.
Yeah. So
I like it.
Rough outline, rough thought of the process. We'll see what comes out. We'll see what we'll do. I know we're doing Justice next, right?
Oh, I have. I cannot wait to reveal my pet name for that episode.
Yes, not yet. Not yet. We'll wait till we get there.
I'm going to ask Captain Charles. Are you ready?
Crusher. That's the Wesley Crusher, scantily clad.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, yeah. Why I love that show. Yes.
Are you ready for some trivia?
Sure.
We got you for 3, Charles from Texas. This is from the CNIT cards that Albie and I always do. And if you can't get these, you're really a pretty shitty Star Trek fan. Okay. In the Voyager episode.
With that, you never know.
We top off my ale. Anyway, go ahead.
You're going to know this one. I never would have gotten this. I would have been a shitty fan. In the Voyager episode State of Flux, which Maquis officer is revealed as a Cardassian spy?
Seska.
Okay, that's too easy. I never would have known that, but you're right.
I have the action figure.
All right.
Another missed opportunity, but I can go on for days.
Who's Seska now? In the Deep Space Nine episode Sacrifice of Angels, how does the lone USS Defiant manage to survive coming up against the entire Dominion fleet inside the wormhole?
The prophets intervene and make the fleet vanish.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The wormhole aliens caused Dominion Ex Machina ships to vanish. And you're never going to get this one, so I'm sorry. But who plays Guinan?
Whoopi Goldberg. Yes.
I'm sorry, they were looking for the Picard Guinan, so you lose.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
That one I don't know. I don't know her name yet. We got to get there.
Darn, got me.
So that's 3 for 3. Charles from Texas.
Awesome.
Thank you, Captain Charles. You've earned those pets, sir.
Captain Charles is in fact
keep my rank. No demotion.
Yes.
So, and for you, it would be pips. They can be other captains. You can have the sleeves if you want. Yeah, you can be old school, and you could also, like the disco, you can have them on your badge. It's not a com. It's still a mission patch in disco. It's not a com yet. So
that's interesting, right? Is that, and I hope this is more obscure. Hopefully it is. I never got the rank insignia from the movie era, the maroon uniforms.
Yeah. Charles, I went down a rabbit hole with that. I went from TMP and all that. I mean, every single one of those colors, though. The colors on the fields behind the mission patches all meant something. The colors of the uniforms versus that meant something. It was so involved. And then I got to know the ones on the Munster maroons that were on the shoulder. So yeah, you can recognize those more easily.
Okay,
So,
I need to go back and look.
Yeah, it should go. It's very interesting to me, all that stuff. I think we talked about it the last time when we were talking about O'Brien and how his rank has changed throughout the entire series, and even his insignias have changed because they couldn't figure out what to do with
Oh,
it.
he went from officer to enlisted, back and forth. I think
Yeah,
he was
yep.
officer in Counter at Farpoint, right? And then shifted to enlisted
shifted
after.
to a chief or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
It might be like a
One of
Thomas Riker
one of my
thing,
favorite
you know.
characters in all of Trek. I was
Yes.
one of the things that I was hoping that the Academy series would be set in the Picard time frame. I think that's isn't that where O'Brien went at the end of DS9? Wasn't he going to teach at the Academy?
That sounds familiar.
Can't remember.
That'd be great.
But
They'll
alas,
have the O'Brien wing, I guess.
Before we go for our final thoughts and ratings from Charles, remember to thank Charles of some funny objects on your ratings out of 5. Before we do that, Christopher, could you tell people listening out there that want to be members of our crew and perhaps be a captain, just like Captain Charles from Texas? Could you tell them how to do that?
Sure. The easiest way to do so is to go to patreon.com/Treksploration. That's where we have our crew of intrepid Treksplorers is what we're calling our fans. So that's patreon.com/Treksploration. You can see all of the membership levels there, including Captain, which I believe is 17. No, that's Lieutenant Commander. Captain's 47, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's 47. So thank you, Charles. That's $47 a month for the captaincy. So you can do that over there, but you don't even have to pay. You can join there for free as well. You can just be part of our Treksplorer community over there. So please check that out at patreon.com/Treksploration. And for those of you listening who are already members, you can always upgrade to Captain and join us on the next Captain's Table. This is the first time we're hearing from Captain Charles from Texas, but it won't be the last time because we will be doing one of these every time we finish a series, whether it be old or new. We're going to get everybody in on the party because that's what we love. We love connecting with all of you out there who are watching and listening. So thank you very much.
All right. So Captain Charles from Texas. I'm going to say that again. Okay. I don't know what's wrong. Maybe I was up till 4 a.m. last night making a scale model of the Gershwin Theater. Okay. But besides that, Dad, I need a Gershwin Theater tonight for my final project.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay. Turned out good, though, I think.
Yeah. I haven't had one of those. I've had the day of, but never the night of. The projects that were unannounced until
until the night before or something. You're like, what? I think the worst one was like, I have to be a pirate in 2 hours. It's pirate day at school. What? Okay, let's go.
Okay.
Let's get you a pirate outfit. I don't know, but anyway, space pirate, that would have been good. Captain Charles from Texas. Final thoughts on the series finale, 2 parts, because that's what we're talking about, and maybe the season overall of Star Trek Discovery, and your rating out of 5.
2-part finale. Part 1 was I enjoyed part 1 more than part 2. I liked the action. I loved that was the infiltration, right, where they infiltrated the Breen ship. Mm-hmm. Really enjoyed that one. I felt let down by the second half. I just felt that it was a little too I think they spent all their energy on the first one and ran out of steam. As far as those episodes of the season as a whole, I give it 3 Quatloos out of 5. Mm-hmm. Good effort, but I think there were plenty of more of opportunities to get through that season in a different way that they had inferred they would be doing when they first announced this season, and I don't feel that panned out.
Okay, we'll take it.
3 out of 5.
I too was excited for that second to last episode, the penultimate episode, where they actually teamed up and went on a mission as a team together to do stuff. Things that I was excited because I was like, oh, that's cool. Maybe they'll start to. Oh, never mind. It's the end of the show. End of the season. End of the series.
All right. So Albie and I will be elaborating on all of these thoughts in the main discussion.
Yes, our 2-part disco duo for the last 2. All right. So For Treksploration, I'm Albie.
I'm Chris.
I'm Charles from Texas.
Captain Charles.
Captain Charles from Texas. You earned that, sir. You wear that badge with honor.
Thank you, guys. Really enjoyed this. This was a great time. I'm looking forward to the next one.
It was so awesome meeting you, Captain. Okay, we'll see you next time.